Hello and welcome to this video tour of my self-built compact camper van. It's been a project spanning many months, and if you are new to my channel then be aware that the entire build process has been documented in the videos prior to this one. So if, as I'm showing you around, you think, oh, I wonder how that was done, there's probably a video about it. Just scroll backwards through my channel and you should find it. I also want to make it clear, as I seem to recall I did at the outset, that in no way, shape or form is this any kind of tutorial series. I am not professing to be an expert. I'm certainly not saying, look, this is how you do stuff. It's just a document of the way I built my van, learning on stuff I had seen on other YouTube videos and by talking to other people. And if that's of interest or of use to someone, then that is brilliant. But if you are doing your own van, well, make your own decisions and learn anything you like from this. But as I say, it's definitely not me saying this is how you do things. Right, enough waffle. Let me show you the van. The van is a 2013 Toyota ProAce, more commonly seen in the UK in its sister vans, the Citroën Dispatch and the Peugeot Expert. Toyota simply rebadge it the ProAce. This is the long wheelbase version, which is only about a foot longer than the short wheelbase one, and it's the standard low top roof. It's fitted with the 2-litre turbo diesel engine, which is somewhat less common than the 1.6 litre diesel you often find in these vans, and it really does have a fairly decent amount of poke. I've had a few people ask, so I'll tell you the load limit on these vans is 1.2 tonnes, plenty for a camper van. On both sides and at the back, the metal of the panel van has been replaced with tinted windows, this one, as you can see, having a sliding section for ventilation. Inside at the front, I've kept things absolutely standard. It's a single driver's seat and dual passenger seat. I wasn't bothered about having swivel seats. It does come as standard with a passenger airbag, which is peculiar to the Toyota version of this van, and it's one of the reasons I wanted the Toyota one, because if I'm driving anyone around, I want them to be safe as well as me. Above the seats are these standard and rather handy storage compartments. But it's in the back, of course, that the big transformation has taken place. Stepping in through the sliding side door reveals an L-shaped couch and bed unit on the far side. I've put two 230-volt main sockets handily placed on the side there, and there's a dual high-power USB charging point which also doubles as a battery voltage monitor. The bed is 2 meters long, and it does pull out to make a compact double. Here it is made up. It takes just a few seconds, and those cushions now act as pillows. The pull-out bed extensions are supported on little wooden brackets which just store at the end of the camper van when not in use. And those bed extensions come out in 2 parts, so if you want to, you can just have the rear one pulled out, in which case this becomes a little N-shaped seating area. When it's not being used as a double bed, the extra cushion forms the backrest of the sofa in the back half, and the front half one just slides down the side there by the other sliding door. Remove the cushions and both of the seats lift up, revealing storage beneath, and in the case of this back one, a small portable toilet. More for emergency use than anything else, but you could, in fact, sit on it there with your legs in the front. There's additional storage under the bed, behind the driver's seat as well. In the ceiling you've got 4 LED lights which are individually switchable and also switchable on and off as front and rear. Also in the ceiling, for overnight and ventilation when cooking, there is a vent with a powered fan in it. As well as the fan, this can open up to let more or less air in. Immediately opposite the bed is the kitchen area, consisting of food storage, water storage, a 2-burner hob and a sink. These glass lids just hinge open upwards to reveal both the hob and the sink, and they act as a splashback. Down below, this tambour door provides space for food storage. And to the right of that, behind a hatch that just pulls off on magnetic catches, are the fresh and wastewater containers below the sink. This hatch on the left-hand side also pulls off, but it's not so much storage as a maintenance access to the propane heater, the vent for which you can see down below. There's one more hatch at the end as well, which just pulls off and gives you alternate access to the 13-litre freshwater and 10-litre wastewater container. And for those who are worried that the wastewater should be bigger, most of the freshwater container will be drunk as tea, so the wastewater can safely be less. And should you need somewhere to put a cup of tea, this table just clips onto the rail that's bolted onto the side of the kitchen unit and gives you additional table space, workspace, eating space, whatever. When not being used, it just stalls behind the driver's seat. Above the sink, a simple lightweight shelf suitable for a few tea bags, bit of milk, some cups, that sort of thing. A further 3 shelves with reasonably substantial lips sit in the corner for cutlery, paper towels, that kind of thing. The top shelf and the unit in the corner are both removable if you need to, again for maintenance access to the heater unit, which is down in that corner there behind the gas cylinder, which I'll show you in a minute. Speaking of the heater, the controls for it are just here at the end of the bed, so you can turn it on and adjust the temperature with your foot. Having gas appliances like the hob and the heater is of course dangerous for reasons of carbon monoxide and fire, hence why in this corner there is a fire extinguisher, a fire alarm, and the first of 2 carbon monoxide detectors. The second one being inside that cupboard on the left, down there, and that doubles as an LPG propane detector as well, which is why that one is down low. Under this worktop and shelf at the back is a 12-volt compressor fridge, a Dometic model. The final bit of shelf doesn't open into the van, but it does form storage accessible from the back. And right in the corner there is the original cigarette lighter that comes with the van at the back, to which I've added another USB charging adapter, although that only works when the van ignition is switched on. Up on top, 2 100-watt solar panels provide plenty of charge for anything the van would need, plenty to run that fridge. This is really a summer, weekend type van, it's not something to live in, so that is plenty of power. And the power from those panels comes down through a solar charge controller into a 160 amp hour AGM battery housed under this seat down there. In the corner you can see the master 12-volt cutoff switch, which either lets power through or stops power going to the main 12-volt systems. And those systems are in this little cupboard unit, as you might have seen as you came into the van. The USB charger at the top, and then a series of little switches for things like the lights and the water pump and the fridge freezer and so on the right there. The one little potentiometer is a variable speed controller, cost me £2 off eBay, and that controls the vent in the ceiling. And as you have surely guessed, this panel just comes off on magnetic catches if you want to get to the electronics gubbins inside. It might look like a bit of a tangle, but trust me, it is actually very well structured and really, really easy to follow. Crucially, you've got a bunch of fuses for all the 12-volt circuits, like again the fan and the fridge, water pump, things like that. There's a single large grounding bar for all the earths, and that goes off to the vehicle chassis as well. Above that, a solar charge controller, a mains battery charger in the middle, And the white plastic box on the left houses an RCD and 2 MCBs for the incoming mains. Finally, at the bottom there is a small 375 watt inverter, just for occasional use. One of the neat things about the solar and other charger gear I've got from Victron is that you don't need to install a control panel, have it taking up any space, because you can simply read them all via Bluetooth with an app on your phone, and it gives you all sorts of information like your historic charging. As you can see, the battery's been basically a tick over. The solar panels haven't really been doing anything for the last few days, and it tells you how much power is coming in and how much is being drawn and so on. And that applies not only to the solar charger but the mains charger, and if I had a little extra device, the inverter as well. And of those 2 main sockets, the top one is only wired to the incoming shoreline and the bottom one is only wired to the inverter. That just saves me the bother of having switches to switch between one and the other. The socket for the incoming mains shoreline, and it is splash proof, is underneath the bottom of the van, out of the way. Nice and discreet. Here's the back of the van. You can see the fridge unit in the middle there with plenty of space for its ventilation. LPG propane locker on the left, and a general space for storage on the right, and also a little bit of storage underneath the fridge where I've got the mains shoreline hookup connector. The propane tank is a 6 kilogram refillable cylinder from Gaslow, which is to say that, unlike Cala, where you swap the whole bottle over, this cylinder itself is refillable at any petrol station which will permit you to do so. Not all of them do. So what you've got in here is not only the 30 millibar regulator going off to the gas appliances, which is fed by the thick black hose there from the top of the cylinder, but you've got an additional hose, that yellow and metal one, which goes to an LPG filling point on the side of the vehicle. This is that point, and no, for people who've been following the build, no, I still haven't got around to putting a nice cover over it, but I will get round to that at some point. This just twists off and reveals the filler point beneath it, which you plug the hose into at the gas station. Needless to say, although you can't really see it very well there is a dropout vent at the back of the gas locker in case of any escaped gas. Propane being heavier than air, it will drop down and vent underneath the vehicle, and that is a standard requirement of gas lockers. All the gas piping coming out of the regulator is copper, fixed at regular intervals, although there isn't very much pipe actually. You can see there the shut-off valve going to the hob, and also on the left the T-piece that spurs off down to the heater unit. Speaking of the heater unit, there it is at the back of the food cupboard. It's a Propex HS2000, and the thick brown pipe you can see there is the hot air duct that comes out into the van and warms you up. The exhaust and air inlet for the heater actually come out the bottom of that unit, and you can't really see them, you can just see the silver of the air inlet pipe there come out sideways and then go down through the bottom of the van. There is a video about that install earlier on the channel. And that is, I think, pretty much everything I can tell you about my camper van. It's the first one I've ever done. There are lots of things I wish I'd done better. There are some things I'm really rather pleased with. If you've got any questions, drop them down below. I'll do my best to answer. I am going to do a video about what it all cost me, and I'll break down the individual items like the fridge and the heater and the solar panels, all that, as well as the miscellaneous bits and bobs like the wood and the screws and things like that. That'll be coming fairly soon. But any other questions, drop them down below. I'll do my best to answer. Thanks very much for watching. Cheerio.